It's the Belt Beat. We start to talk to the beat writers who cover the Sun Belt. First up, the Acadiana Advocate's Kevin Foote, locked on Sun Belt.
You are Locked On Sun Belt, your daily podcast on the Sun Belt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. All right, I've been telling you this for a few days. Finally got around to asking. And Kevin obliging. By the way, his daughter got engaged on Thursday night. So congratulations to Kevin, his daughter, and their family. But Kevin has been covering sports in the Acadiana area, the Lafayette area, for the better part of 40 years. He was a teenager when he first started sports writing. I was doing this while he was in high school. He's been the Cajuns beat writer for the last 6 years. He was the secondary writer when he was with the Daily Advertiser, more of a columnist. And he's been doing it all for a long, long time in that area. So I'm really thrilled to having him with me. He did tell me he started covering the Ragin Cajuns baseball team before LSU actually started getting big. That's a long time ago. We talk about the Ragin Cajuns in their glory years right now. How good can the Cajuns be? And what it's like being a sports writer for over 40 years, and how much longer does he plan on doing it? He is the Ragin Cajuns beat writer. He is on the Belt Beat. He works for the Acadiana Advocate, also a host on, ESPN Southwest Louisiana. He is Kevin Foote, and he is locked on Sunbelt. All right, it is the Belt Beat. Last year, we did the voices of the game. We talked to all the radio broadcasters, at least most of them in the Sunbelt. This year, we're going to try and get as many of the beat writers as we can. We're going to start off with my buddy Kevin Foote from the Acadiana Advocate, covering the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. He's been a sports writer in the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns area for over 40 years now. He's been the main beat writer for the Cajuns now for the last 6 years. Kevin, thanks for hopping on Locked On Sunbelt. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well. Football season's almost here.
It is almost here. And, it hit me while sitting there with Mike Desimo. We are in the glory years of Ragin Cajuns football. This has been now a decade and a half since Mark Hudspeth set the standard, going to 4 straight New Orleans Bowls, winning all 4. And by my count, right, they've only not gone to a bowl game twice since Mark Hudspeth took over the realm, right? Billy Napier always went to a bowl game. Desimo has all gone to a bowl game. They've only missed a postseason berth twice.
Absolutely. For years and years. Now, of course, it was very different back in the 80s because opportunities weren't there. But, a bowl game was so far-fetched. So, there, the excitement there when Coach Hud first got here and that first New Orleans Bowl was tremendous. Now, look, they played really tough schedules back in the 80s and 90s, but there were no bowl appearances. So, no question, this is it.
Yeah, and now it really has lifted it up with a whole new stadium, or at least I don't know, what are we talking about? A half a new stadium, 3/4 of a new stadium. I mean, it's basically a new stadium.
Nice. It's going to be, you've been in the other one. It was old and it needed to be redone, and it's redone. So next week we're going to get an opportunity to actually see inside of it. But a lot of people who have seen it that I've talked to said it's spectacular.
Now, is it going to be completely done? Because we had a baseball stadium that was not done for the better part of 2 years before they were done.
Yeah, it's going to be completely done.
It's going to be completely done. So how have you seen Ragin Cajun football grow over the last decade and a half? Because, again, when I was there and HUD was winning, they were drawing, 25,000, 28, 30,000 a game. And I don't know if it was COVID or the economy, and we've discussed it on the podcast. It was, down to 10, 15,000. They could not sell out a Sun Belt Championship game that they hosted. They had a pretty good crowd last year for the Sun Belt Championship game. But how have you seen Ragin Cajuns football grow over the last decade and a half?
Well, it's tricky that first year because of couple of years with Coach Hud. Like they were legitimately getting 28, 29,000 on a pretty regular basis because it was new. It was a novelty. It was like, man, this is really cool. They're good in football. And we can go to a bowl. And it was, even when they won the Sun Belt Conference Championship, Coach Napier's last year, I mean, they got like maybe 2,000 more than they were getting that first year, but that was it. And you would think playing for the conference championship they would get. It's just not been there. And we know we've gone over all the reasons why that is, and before, but I don't know what it's going to take to get it back to what it was. And I wonder sometimes, like, if they were just getting a regular 35,000, I don't know that Coach Napier would have even left. I don't really. I wonder if he would have even left, but they just couldn't. I mean, they couldn't. I think it was like 31 for the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. I mean, that was the championship game. It was the biggest game ever played in that field.
Right.
And it just didn't happen. So
yeah,
hopefully this new stadium will. They're counting on that. We will see.
Yeah, the biggest crowds, and we're talking with Kevin Foote from the Acadiana Advocate in Lafayette, Louisiana. He covers the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. Locked on Sunbelt, your teams every day. David Schultz with you. The biggest ball games, I remember, the biggest crowds were they brought them from the other teams, right? It was Southern. It was Grambling.
Right.
It was McNeese. It wasn't generally the Sunbelt teams that traveled in.
Well, and it's because it was, the Southern people and the Grambling people and the McNeese people that were getting it.
Right.
I because of what you're saying, I often say that the biggest attended game was actually an Arkansas State game back in '76, where they were actually going to watch the Cajuns play, not watch the other people play. And so I don't really count those to me. But I mean, again, hopefully they can get hopefully. And look, there's a novelty now. There's a new stadium, and it's nice. And it's going to have amenities that the other one didn't have. So hopefully that novelty will pay off.
All right. So then what was that? I mean, the biggest win they've ever had at Cajun Field, and Cajun fans know this, is beating A&M. And so what was the stadium full for that ball game?
Well, it was pretty close. It was fairly close, yeah. But it wasn't full, no.
No kidding.
No.
I mean, that kind of blows your mind away because, again, people know I'm from Central New York, and I don't understand how Syracuse can't draw what they draw there, and that's half of what sometimes a third of what the SEC is drawing when they only put 40,000 fans into it, or 30,000 fans, and they can't even draw 50,000 fans, and the Cajuns can't sell out a game where they're playing A&M at home.
Now the other good thing about this stadium is the attendance is the seats are going to be a little less, so it's like it's going to look more full with 30,000 than it used to look with 30,000. And I think that's a good thing.
Well, it's also going to look full because the press box and the cameras are going to be facing the full side, right? Because now the cameras are going to be facing not the student section. They're going to be facing the money side. They're going to see the new seats and the new sections. So it's going to, whether it is full or not, it's going to appear that it's going to look full.
That is true. Yes.
All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back and continue our conversation with Kevin Foote from the Acadiana Advocate. He's on the Belt Beat. How good can this Ragin' Cajuns football team be? We'll do that right after I tell you about Wayfair. As summer winds down, there's something nice about getting back into a routine you love. And Wayfair makes it easy to set yourself up for the season ahead. From bedding and linens to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair is your one-stop shop to refresh your home. Remember, let me see, that shelving over there is from Wayfair, and the desk that I have my stuff on here that I'm working on is from Wayfair. And if I can put it together, believe you me, you can put it together. That's for sure. This is the perfect time to get my home ready, and whether that's organizing, upgrading my workspace, or making weeknight dinners easier. Get organized, refresh, and back to routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. We continue with the belt beat, if you will, talking to the sports writers who cover the teams in the Sunbelt. And he is first up. He is Kevin Foote covering the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns for the Acadiana Advocate. How good can this Louisiana Ragin Cajuns team be in 2025? We're talking with Kevin Foote. Yeah, we're talking with Kevin Foote, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, how good can this Ragin Cajuns team be? Because okay, my understanding is they just lost a ton through the portal. The year before, they lost a couple of key players. The quarterback, obviously, Zion Chris, linebacker went in there, but they did not lose a lot. I thought this year they lost a ton. They did.
I mean, there's only 2 or 3 that they really, feel really hurt, but they kind of knew those. I mean, when you have a guy like Terrence Carter, the chances of mid-majors keeping someone like him is probably not real good. And so they kind of figured that going in, and they figured they were going to lose him. I'm not as worried about the portal losses. The thing that's interesting about this team is they lost, I don't know the number, I don't remember it. It's like around 70-something% of their receptions from last year. So they have all these wide receivers that they're high on, like Shelton Sampson from LSU. They're high on them, but that doesn't mean they got to prove it. So you have a quarterback room. Not one of them has thrown a single collegiate touchdown pass. They like talent, but they got to prove it. And it's the same way with, to me, at inside linebacker and cornerback. They lost Casey Osai. He was their tackling machine. Now they moved Jaden Duggar there, and they've got other guys that they like, but they haven't ever proven it. They have never played there and produced. Same thing with cornerback. Trey Tomlinson, they love, transfer from Richmond. He kind of fills in for Keon Martin, and he's basically just like Keon Martin, just bubbly personality, great, physical, plays bigger than his size, all of that. But then they got guys like Lorenzel Dubois and Jeremiah Moses and Avery Demery, who, again, they're high on, but they've never done it, so they have to prove it. There's just a lot of it's a lot of what they feel like is talent and raw skills, but a lot of you got to prove it because they've never done it. And if they do, if most of those hit, then I think they could be really good. But we got to see that first.
Now, I did see the other guys, the group of 5 guys, claim that Walker Howard doesn't have to be Batman. He just has to be the game manager, just kind of have to hand the ball off and not turn the ball over. Is that what their Cajuns are expecting out of him?
Well, I don't think
want a little bit more out of him than that?
No, I think they think he can throw the ball, and also he can run. Like, they haven't, like, Ben could run, but Ben was just, he could run when he had to, but Walker's fast. Like, Walker can really do some damage with his legs if he stays healthy. And he can throw, and they don't have the tight end like Terrence Carter, but they feel like they've got the receivers that can make some big plays. Now, there's no question they're counting on running the football, and they have for years, back when you were here, they would always have a 3-headed monster at running back. Sure. Well, they have 4 running backs that they claim they really like, but Davis and Perry, they are just running. It's going to be, they're going to get the vast majority of the carries, and they should be good. There's enough back on the offensive line where they should be able to run the football.
Well, that could be going back to the days of Thunder and Lightning with Alonzo Harris and Eli McGuire. It was really a 2-man show back then.
Right. It was back then. I'm talking about when Coach Napier got here, when they had Kale and Regas and Mitchell. And even recently, like last year, they basically had, when they were all healthy, they had 3 back. But it's going to be a 2-back thing this year.
All right. So what's been the word on from what Desmo said, and we're doing Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. We are doing the Belt Beat with the sports writers that covering the teams in the Sun Belt. We got Kevin Foote on from the Acadiana Advocate covering the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. All right, so Mike Desimo said that Walker Howard didn't look rusty because, again, we only make the comparisons to Joe Burrow for 2 reasons. It's Louisiana, all right, that's A. And B, he did the same thing. He hasn't played for college football for 3 years, right? He's highly talented coming out of high school. He followed in his father's footsteps, Jamie, going to LSU. That didn't work out, and he fell behind the Heisman Trophy winner, who set a record, LSU offensive record, or right behind Joe Burrow, I guess. And then he went to Ole Miss, where it didn't work out there either. So now he's back. Has he taken any steps in fall camp? Has he gotten a little bit better? Because you only get 15 practices every other day, and they got to be close to 15 practices now in fall camp already.
Yeah, I mean, he hit the ground running way before, fall camp, even before spring. I mean, he was really putting a lot of time in, trying to learn everything, and it seems like he's handling the leadership part of it very well. Everyone that I talked to, like, he's comfortable doing that with the players, and he's been a leader. I thought he looked really good in the spring game. He was clearly the best quarterback in the spring game. It wasn't really close. Now, in the first scrimmage, it sounded like Daniel Beal, the redshirt freshman, actually had the best game, and the best scrimmage. And Coach Dez kind of said, yeah, Walker was a little frustrated, but in his mind, a lot of what didn't work with Walker wasn't his fault. It was things around him that didn't really go well and messed up some plays. But I just think that with his pedigree in that where he's been around and he's been under some really good quarterbacks and learned from some really good quarterbacks, that we're all expecting that he's going to be named, but they actually haven't named him as a starter yet.
I mean, we're not expecting anything different, right? I mean, he didn't come
I'm not
home
expecting it, no, but again, they really like Daniel Beal and his knowledge and what he's done.
Right.
And Lunch is a guy who can be a wildcat. I would think that he can come in and do some wildcat plays, and he can see the field a little bit, even if he's not starting.
Yeah, Kevin Foote, talk about Lunch Winfield. You're telling me that's not his first name. What's his first name?
Oh, I always forget it.
Yeah. Try finding it on the Cajuns website. It's not there.
Yeah,
his name is Lunch Winfield.
Well, his first year here, I used his first name, and that's how old and senile I'm getting. And then when they said we're going to put Lunch, I said, well, I guess I'll go with it.
That's what it says. We're talking with Kevin Foote from the Acadiana Advocate, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. I want to talk about that leadership, because now it is a different era with the portal, that these guys have to come in and try to lead guys that they don't really know. How do you go about doing that? Have you talked to?
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think that's why they have to do all these workouts in the offseason, all these stages that the coaches always talk about, which don't really mean a whole lot to us. But right. I think that's where they build. It's really about the strength coach. I mean, the strength coach is the one that builds the bond that allows these guys to become leaders. Right. And so, I think, they've gone through that process. I think it helps having dynamic personalities. Like I mentioned, Trey Tomlinson. You can talk to Trey Tomlinson one time and you can say that guy's a leader. I mean, he's impressive. Jaden Duggar is impressive to talk to. Now, he doesn't have that dynamic personality like Trey does, but they've got guys on the team that have kind of dynamic personality. Bill Davis is like that. He's still not old, but right. Bill Davis, when you talk to him, he has some charisma, you can tell. Other guys like Zylan, they're not as comfortable behind the mic. But they have 3 or 4 guys who have been there now at least 2 years, if not 3 years, that are really good personality guys that I think they respect.
Are we still doing the stages? Are we still doing that?
Oh yeah, they're still doing stages. Yes.
What stage are we in?
Well, like in the last
used to joke with Napier about that.
Oh yeah, they're still doing stages.
They're still doing stages. That's great. We're talking with Kevin Foote, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, so let's ask the question. The Cajuns were picked in the West to win the West. Can the Sunbelt team be in the college football playoff? They have that kind of schedule. They started off with Rice, although some people are picking Rice to be pretty good this year. Then they get McNeese at home. It's a little bit of a late start. Usually those games are at 6 Central Time. They're starting them at 7 just in case they're a little bit warm. They want 2 packed houses, and they should get it. Then they go to Mizzou. All right, it's an SEC team. Missouri's pretty good. All right, they're not playing Bama or LSU or Georgia. But
like 4 or 5 years ago, you're playing Missouri, you're feeling pretty good about it. But Missouri's been pretty explosive the last year.
Missouri's pretty good, yes. Yep. It's not necessarily Vandy, typical Vandy, not necessarily last year's Vandy, but it's not the bottom of the pack, but it's also not the top of the heap necessarily. And so how good do you think this Ragin Cajuns football team can be? Because, again, they're coming off a Sunbelt championship game appearance at home nonetheless.
If they hit on most of the what ifs, like I was talking about earlier, I'm looking at them as an 8-4, maybe a 9-3 team. But I don't see, you're talking about 12-0 to be a playoff team.
Well, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
probably.
So you don't see them going to JMU and beating JMU.
I don't like that game, and I don't like the Missouri game. But
Okay.
9-3 is possible.
All right. So where else would be a loss? Because I mean, losing to going to JMU and losing at Missouri, I mean, there's no shame in those 2 losses.
No, and I'm just kind of a guy. The way I do predictions, you're like, okay, you've got these games I feel good about winning, and then you got like these 3 or 4 games, and I'm like, the South Alabama team game matchups are always kind of strange.
Right.
I just think there's 3 or 4 games like Jonesboro that they struggle with a lot. Even when they've won there, they've struggled. So between that one and like the South Alabama game, and I keep saying Texas State hates the Cajuns, and they want to beat the Cajuns. So they've never beaten the Cajuns, and that this is going to probably be their last chance to do so. So this is going to be a humongous game for them.
So I reminded G.J. Kinney, right? I'm how close they were. It wasn't even a fingertip; it was a fingernail on how they lost to the Cajuns last year. On an interception from the defensive lineman tipping the football, not the fingertip, a fingernail. But he even reminded me 2 years ago when they couldn't finish it off with T.J. Finley kind of fumbling the ball game away. And I think the running back.
That, but also with the block punt. Dalen Cambry had a block punt that really turned that game around. But yeah, then the fumble, yes.
Also, someone should have kicked a field goal going into halftime
instead
of going for a touchdown. I should have. I just remembered that. I forgot to remind him about that. That's someone should have.
But he's not the only coach that has done that. Cajuns
someone got away with that, and all of a sudden got a phrase coined after that. Scared money don't make money, right?
Yes,
because he made the touchdown.
Exactly.
But he was inside the 1 yard line compared to like outside the 5 yard line or something like that.
Right. No, I would not have made the decision he made. I agree.
Yeah. Let's take one more time out. We'll come back and wrap up our conversation with the Acadiana Advocate's Kevin Foote. What's it like being a sports writer for over 40 years, and how much longer does he plan on doing that? We'll wrap it up with Kevin right after I tell you about FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. I'm going to start looking at that and see what we can do for Sunbelt champion. That's for sure. All right. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Let's wrap up our conversation with the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns beat writer. He is on the Belt beat. Kevin Foote works for the Acadiana Advocate. He's been covering sports in the Lafayette, Louisiana area for over 40 years. He is not planning on slowing down anytime soon. How much longer does he plan on doing it? And what's it like covering the teams now compared to what it was back in the day? All right. I do want to make this a little bit about Kevin Foote and the sports writers, because obviously things have changed, just covering, everything that these guys have to cover, from the games to the recruiting to the NIL and the portal. It really is a year-round deal. You cover high school as well. What's it like being, covering the Ragin' Cajuns in this era of NIL and portal, Kevin?
Well, it is different, and it's like when the season's over, it's not over. In the 30 years ago, I was back in the 80s. I was a baseball fan, and so I'm like, okay, I like baseball. I think baseball can.
Nothing's changed. Don't let him kid you, folks. Nothing's changed. He hosts a radio show on my old radio station, and it doesn't matter what's happening with the Cajuns. Doesn't matter what's happening with the Saints. Doesn't matter what's happening with LSU. The first 15 minutes of the show is going to be the Astros.
Oh, yeah. It's been rough lately with Hader's injury. But anyway, But I became like a big. I kind of I was the first person to start covering UL baseball back in like 86, 87, and that was right even before LSU got real big in baseball.
Right.
So and so I was doing baseball and back then when the season ended, it was kind of over. And it's kind of like that. It was like that in most of the sports. You cover softball. When the season ends, it's over. But now, all summer, you got guys leaving, you got girls leaving, and you got them coming back. So it collides with football a whole lot more for sure during the summer after baseball and softball's over.
And then do you at a group of 5, and this is why it's so much fun covering the Cajuns, you do get a chance to build a relationship with the players and the coaches, right? They are a little bit more open than if you are, one of umpteen beat writers, covering Alabama or LSU. It's much more difficult doing
right.
that.
Yeah, they know you. You talk to them a lot more, and you're asking, the majority of the questions a lot more because there's not as many people. And yeah, there's no question about that. But and it's been like that for a while. Like when I first started covering the Cajuns in baseball and basketball, you get to know them a whole lot better. And some of those now it's also better when you're covering local players because then you know them from the high school days and the college days. That makes it even better.
Yeah, because we just bumped into Colin Lacey, former South Alabama wide receiver, now playing for Louisville. Took my nephew to a Louisville Cardinals practice. Saw him play Faith Academy High School in Mobile. Saw him play at covered him at South Alabama, and then saw him play here at Louisville. And I don't know if he knows my name, but he knows who I am.
Right, exactly. No question. It makes a difference.
Yeah, it makes it cool. We're talking with Kevin Foote, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, so it is a lot of fun. When I went back home and, when it's, say, Syracuse, the local sports team coverage ends basically when Syracuse basketball season ends. There's maybe a little lacrosse, but that's very small compared to, what you have down south because it is football, basketball, and baseball and softball. How much time when is your vacation time?
Well, I normally try to take 1 week, but around Christmas, but a lot of times in New Orleans Bowl or one of those, but we'll mess that up a little bit where you're working on like this past year. It's kind of a deal. If there's work to do, you do it. You say you're on vacation, but you're not really on vacation. And then I normally take 2 to 3 weeks during the summer. But again, that was complicated this year because of all the transfer portals. So that really complicates it. No question.
And do you still like doing it? How much longer are you going to be doing
this? I like, I do like doing it. I don't know how much longer. It's not going to, now if it's up to me, it'll be quite a long time because I'm not ready.
All right. You're not hanging it up anytime soon.
No, I'm not ready to hang it up anytime.
Okay, so you're still passionate about here's the thing about Kevin, folks, and you can go find him. There's absolutely a video of him watching game 1 of the Astros, not real happy with pitch selection in the World Series, and it looks like he's about to have a heart attack.
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah, so
that was big. Yes.
Yeah, he's sitting there with Glenn Guilbeau, and I mean, it is hilarious. I may have posted the video and you can hear me laughing in the background of the video. So it's social media out there, which is funny. The thing is, as passionate as an Astros fan as it is, you can't cover the Saints, can you? Or you won't cover Saints football.
Well, I covered Saints home games from like 87 until about 2004, 2005.
Oh, okay.
And it was rough for me. Now I would not do it. Like if they asked me to do that, I wouldn't want to do it. My whole trick then was I took about 40 trips to the bathroom during the games. I would just, and when I got really angry, I would just go to the bathroom and then just walk back. So I was constantly going back and forth from my seat in the press box to the bathroom. That was my strategy.
Because he's such a big fan, he can't control himself.
Oh, it was bad. Back then, I used, back before the Saints won the Super Bowl, we used to be on right above the first level, so our seats were better. We not in the row. Once they won the Super Bowl, the media went up to the nosebleed by the roof. But yeah, it was a lot shorter trip to the bathroom. It was a lot better back then.
Yeah,
now, the team wasn't as good, but it was better. for
So
us.
is it more work? Is it more fun? Is it how would you
I
compare
think it's
doing it
more
now than it
steady.
was
There's
before?
less downtime now than there used to be. And for somebody who's not like, I'm not as good with idle time, so I probably it probably suits me better to be busy. So I kind of like having that, where there's at least a little bit of something constantly through the year. So I think I like it a little better now.
Now, let's be honest. There's no deadline, right? Because I don't know when you have to get something in for print because nothing's being printed anymore because it just goes online. Do you have to worry about a deadline to get something printed for the paper
Well,
anymore?
I mean, again, for years we did. I've done both of them. Before I moved to the Advocate, when Gannett started consolidating everything, when I was at the Daily Advertiser, we went last. So we were in the paper the next day. We had the latest deadline, I should say. And then like Alexandria and Shreveport and Monroe and Opelousas had the earlier deadlines. Well, once I moved over to the Advocate, we're first. So our deadline is first, and then New Orleans, and then Baton Rouge. And so they get stuff in the paper the next day. Our stuff normally gets in the paper 2 days after. It's just I've been on both sides, and it's less stress this way because you don't have stuff to get in the paper, but you still want to get it online. Yes.
Yeah, obviously you want to get it online as quickly as
Yeah.
possible, but yeah, you're not writing 15 minutes to get it into
It's
the
not
paper.
like it was for years. No.
Right. All right. On a side note, Cajuns basketball, new coach. They want to. We're talking about the football team wanting to pack the new stadium. They're trying to get 12,000 into the Cajun Dome.
I keep saying, look, I was there covering the game, that he talks about where he was a player and the place was just totally packed and they had people in the ballroom watching closed circuit TV, St. Augustine, South Lafourche. So I've seen it packed and he was playing and he keeps saying that's going to happen. I'll believe it when I see it. Let's just put it that way. Look, I understand he's talking big. If they get 8,000, that would be tremendous. If they average 5,000 or 6,000, that would be tremendous. So I'm not holding it to. I'm not going to say, "Oh, there's only 8,000, so it's a disappointment." No. If they aim for 12 and get 7 or 8 on a pretty consistent basis, that would be tremendous because they haven't had anything close to that in years.
Right. And baseball had a bad. Let's be honest, they had a bad season. Gunnar Leger has left. They brought in the Marshall pitching coach. What do we think of Cajuns baseball for next year? Because I don't think he's on the hot seat. But if they have another season like they had this year, Deggs is going to be.
Yeah, it was not good. Every pitcher they brought in did not come through. Not one of them. Every pitcher they added did not get it done, and so they've got to hit on these pitchers. No question about that.
Right.
No.
And did I see you write something about some triple-digit guys, some guys throwing heat?
He supposedly throws 100. I've never seen him pitch from St. Martinville, transfer from A&M. So we'll see how. I mean, at first, you know how that goes. First, you got to control it.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
But
exactly.
Yeah. But it's nice to have the velocity. Yes.
Any word on a Ragin Cajun softball pitching coach?
No. I check with her.
You want to break any news or anything?
No, I check with her every week, and she keeps saying it's close, but not ready to tell me anything. So we'll just wait.
My understanding is that the pro season is over. Nothing to report. Everyone seems to be having free time now.
Well, part of the problem is that, but part of the was that. The other part of the problem is there's a hiring freeze, and there's some financial things going on behind the scenes with the university with the hiring freeze, and so that there's behind the scenes stuff complicating it more than just trying to nail down a candidate.
Got it. All right. Don't they have money for a pitching coach though? They had one before, and same thing.
Oh no, yeah, they'll get one. It's just I don't know how soon it's going to be.
Got it.
But I hope it happens before football starts. We only got about 2 more weeks. We need to kind of get that in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah, they do. They got to start practicing their fall season. He is Kevin Foote. He is the Ragin Cajuns beat writer. He is on the Belt Beat. That's going to be our new feature here for the next couple of weeks. Really appreciate your time. He covers the Cajuns for the Acadiana Advocate. Always appreciate your time, Kevin. Enjoy the football, and I hope to catch up soon. Thank you so much for hopping on Locked On Sunbelt.
All right. Take care.